Good afternoon, my YouTube viewers. It's Crystal here. This video is going to be lesson 4 of my advanced Excel course. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a dashboard using some of the files that I've used in the previous 2 lessons, because in lesson 2 we used Power Query. In lesson 3 we used Power Pivot. And so basically what I had to do is I had to think about what I wanted to do. So I had to actually change the files. I had to change the files. So the files that we're going to use in this lesson are not quite like the files that we've used in the previous lesson, because I've changed them. And so I spent a couple of days putting together the files and putting together the dashboard and finding out how to do things. And so basically I did this video once before, but I got down to like more than an hour of speaking, and then it didn't do everything that I wanted to do, so I had to stop the video and actually delete it. The reason why is because I don't have a very powerful computer. It's about 6 years old, and obviously I'm going to have to get a new computer at some point. And so since I don't have a very powerful computer, it's a little bit more difficult for me to do things. So what I have done is I have, in order to prepare for this lesson and make sure that I was doing it correctly, I went ahead and did all the files and everything like that. But then what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to recreate for you what I have previously done. And it does actually take a while to use Power Pivot to do the things that you want to do, especially when you've got a 6-year-old computer like I've got. But we'll go ahead and give it a go. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to go directly into the files that we want to use. And the reason why is because if you've taken my basic Excel course and my intermediate Excel course, then you should already know how to get into Excel, how to open a file, how to create a new file, how to delete a file, how to amend a file, how to move a file around. If you don't know how to do that, then what I would recommend that you do is you go back and you take my basic Excel course and my intermediate Excel course, because those courses are actually in my playlist. So if you look at my playlist, you will find those courses. So the first thing I want to do is I want to show you the files that I'm going to be doing in this lesson. So we've got our advanced Excel course, and basically since the files are so big and the program is so big, it's quite cumbersome, especially if you're using Power Pivot and it's using a lot of memory, which my computer doesn't have a lot of memory. So I made a separate file for that called Power Pivot Sales Demo. And so actually I was at my day job trying to do some work on it. And because at my day job, don't ask me how, but they've got it set up so I can actually call up my personal files on my computer at work. So it allowed me to call up my personal files, but it didn't allow me to save them. So this is Power Pivot Sales Demo 25/8/26. So that was the day that I was working on it, trying to build up my skills so I could make up this video, but it wouldn't let me save it, so I had to save as. So that's the file that we're going to be using, Power Pivot Sales Demo 25/8/26. I'm not putting this actual lesson in the Advanced Excel course, and the reason for that is because the Power Pivot and Power Query, they're such big apps and everything that they use a lot of memory, and it just causes my computer to crash. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to use the sales demo file separately from the Advanced Excel course. And I've got a spreadsheet page in there saying to look on the sales demo file. So the 4 files that we're going to be using is the sales reps. That's going to tell you the sales representatives and what region they're in. And I did actually change that around a little bit because I had some sales in there and I deleted the sales. So now it's just your sales rep number, your sales rep, and the region. And then I've got the customers. And so basically what this is the customer and their email address. I mean, if I wanted it to be really fancy, I could have put their addresses in there as well. But I've decided that this is going to be a mail order company. And so you're just going to be ordering products through online. So it's going to be a mail order company because this is a small company. And then, so the customers, you've got their email addresses and you don't have their addresses. But obviously, in a real business, you would have their land addresses as well. But just for the purpose of this video and this lesson, that's all we're giving is email addresses, nothing else. And then you're going to have orders. So these are the actual orders placed. And that's going to have like the order number, the customer number, the products, the cost, the units sold, the revenue, the cost, and the profit. And then we're going to have a spreadsheet with products. And so the products is the products that we sell. So this is like a little software business. So all of these spreadsheets, I just made them up. So it's all just fake data. But I made them up for the purpose of this course and this lesson. So now you can see the files that we're going to be importing. It's going to be sales reps, customers, orders, and products. So you're going to be importing four files. So we're going to go into sales demo. And you can see it is taking a little bit of while because obviously Power Pivot is memory intensive. So you need to have a little bit of power in your computer, which I don't have because my computer is like 6 years old and I need to get another one. When my computer completely breaks down, then what I will do is I'll get another one. So this is what I did. I did a dashboard of the sales demo. This is the dashboard that I created. And for the purpose of this video, we are going to recreate this dashboard for the purpose of this video. So basically, I just want to show you the dashboard that I created. So we're going to go into Power Pivot and we're going to go into Manage. And then so basically what has happened is I've already input the data in there. I've already imported my 4 files. But it's just taken a little while to get it in. But I'm going to show you, if you haven't completed lesson 3, I would highly recommend that you go back and you watch lesson 3, because lesson 3 is on how to use Power Pivot, and it's going to be how to actually import the files. So it's taken me just a little while, a little bit of time to actually import my files. So what you would do is we're going to click onto Data View. let's click over here to program diagram view. So we're going to click over here to diagram view and data view, and it looks like something's wrong. We don't have our data view. So I'm going to try refresh, see if we can refresh, try to see existing connections. We're going to click onto existing connections, and it says no connections found. So that's interesting. So that's why nothing is coming up, because it's saying no connections found. So we've got top 10 sales reps here. We've got units by region. We've got sales by region. We've got sales measures. But for some reason, it's not coming up. It says diagram view. Won't let you refresh. It says get external data. So it should have that external data, but obviously something's happened. So I'm going to try it again. So we're going to say get external data from other sources. So we're going to select an Excel file and we're going to say next. I don't know why it's doing this. It could be because maybe I was playing around with it this morning at my day job. So we're going to click on to products, and we're going to say open, and we're going to say use first row as headers. We're going to say next, and we're going to say finish, and we're going to say close. And then we're going to say get external data again from other sources. We're going to say Excel file. We're going to say next. We're going to browse. We're going to say orders. We're going to say open. We're going to say use first row as headers. We're going to say next. So it's orders, and then we're going to say finish. And then we're going to close it. We're going to say get external data again from other sources. We're going to say Excel file. We're going to say next. We're going to browse. We're going to say customers. We're going to use first row as headers. And we're going to say next. And we're going to finish it. And the last one, we're going to say get external data from other sources. We're going to go all the way down to external file. We're going to say next. We're going to browse. So sales reps is going to be the last one that we're going to open. We're going to use the first row as headers. We're going to say next, and we're going to finish it. So we're going to close it. So I don't know why it did that. I don't know why it cut the connection, because it should not have cut the connection. But there's a possibility that I was playing around with it at my day job, which I don't remember doing it, but I could have done it. So when you do your diagram view, what you want to do is you want to set it up so you can see how all of these files are linked to each other. You want to set it up so all the files are linked to each other. So we've got product description, and we're going to link that, bring that over here to product description from products into orders. So now you can see that products is linked to orders. And then you have sales rep ID. So you want to link sales rep ID and sales rep region to sales rep ID in orders. So now you've got sales rep ID. And now you have customer ID. So you want to link customer ID in customers to customer ID in orders. So basically what we've done is we've got all 4 of these files linked together. So now we're going to go to data view, and you can see data view here. Now we've got all 4 of our files: products, orders, customers. So what we're going to do over here is for products, we are going to count the number of products. So what we're going to do now that we have imported all of our files, and these are Excel files that we have imported, now we're going to create some measures. So in order to create, we're using the programming language called DAX, which is Data Analysis Expressions. And so first thing we're going to do is we're going to count the number of products. So you're going to say, using DAX, which is very similar to the Excel programming language. And then you can also take a course on DAX if you want to, but that equals count, and you double click onto that, and then we're going to say product ID. So you're going to say products, we're going to be in products, and we're going to say product ID. So that tells you how many products we have, and you've got 19 products, and this is also a measure. So you're going to say, change the title, say total products. So this is a measure. And then we're going to come over here to customers. And again, we're going to count the number of customers. Equals COUNT, count. And it's going to be customers, and it's going to be customer ID. So we've got 30 customers, and you can say so you've got 30 customers. So now we've got sales reps. So now you want to count the number of sales reps. It's equals count. And then we're going to say sales rep ID. It's done something. So it's under sales rep. So we're going to go to sales rep. So we're going to try this. Sales rep ID. Try it again. So you've got 28 sales reps. So you can say so you've got 28 sales reps. So now we're going to go to orders, which has got the most information in it. So you can say equals count. and then you're going to say orders, order ID, so you've got 56 orders. So you can say you've got total orders. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take the date, and we're on the date, so we're going to say the type. So we're on date. So the type is date, and we're going to format the date to 14 this day. So this is your date. And then we're going to add some columns. So we're going to add a column of revenue. We're going to add a column of revenue. So that's your column, calling it revenue. So this is your revenue. We're going to add another column, and we're going to call it cost. And then we're going to add another column, and we're going to call it profit, gross profit. So we're going to call it profit. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some formulas in here. So come over here to the first cell in revenue. So it's equal. So it's equal units sold times, and you have to say related, and then it's going to be products. It's going to be products revenue per unit. And then what happens is whenever you use that formula, you don't have to copy and paste the formula all the way down. Then all you have to do is write the formula in the first row, and it will automatically paste it all the way down. So that's good. If you've got a really, really, really big file, then that's a good way to do it, because you don't have to copy and paste it. You just put it in that one cell, and then when you put it in that one cell, it will go all the way down. So what we want to do is we want to set it up. So we want it to be a currency, and then we're going to set it up for currency, and we're going to set it up for decimal number. Now we're going to do the cost, put in the formula for cost. So it's going to be equal units sold, and it's going to be times, and you have to say related, and then you're going to have to say products cost per unit. And then so what happens is, again, when you say products cost per unit, it just does the whole column. You don't have to copy and paste it to each cell in that column. It just automatically does it. So we're gonna set it up as a currency. And it's going to be a decimal number. So now we've got our revenue, and we've got our profit. And our cost. So now we're going to calculate the profit. So you're going to say equals, and then it's going to be revenue what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save it very quickly, because another thing about Power Pivot is that it won't automatically save. It won't automatically save. So just to save the work that we've done so far, I'm just going to save it very quickly. So now we're in profit. So equals revenue minus cost. But it's not really doing what I want it to do. Try it again. Equals revenue, but it's not really doing what I want to do it. So I'm going to try it this way. I'm going to give it a go. See what happens. See what happens. So it's giving me a syntax error. Try it again. Equals I'm going to try it again. Equals going to try revenue minus cost. See what happens. So it's worked in that case. So you have to actually click onto the cell. You can't click onto the column header. So that's where I messed up. But at least you know where I messed up, so you know not to make the mistake that I did. So we want to format it as a decimal number. So you've got it formatted as a decimal number. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to so I was trying to format the whole block of cells, but it won't let me format the whole block of cells. So what we're going to do here is, so we're going to count the number of orders. I thought that we had already counted the number of orders. Yeah, we had counted the number of orders. So we've counted the number of orders. But what we want to do is we want to calculate the revenue. So we're going to put another measure in here. So equals sum. That's sum. And it's going to be orders and then revenue. Okay, and then so this is going to be total revenue. Total revenue. And then we can format that. So we can format that number. We're going to make it a currency. I don't want any, I don't want the pound sign. So I'm going to say okay. And then we're going to say average. We're going to put another measure in there, equals average. And then we're going to say orders and then revenue. And then so we're going to come over here. I'm going to change the name of this to average revenue. And then we're going to format it into a currency. Next one we're going to do is we're going to say min equals min. And then it's going to be under orders. And we're going to format that to a currency. And we don't want to see the value, so we're going to do that. And now we're going to change it to min revenue. I'm going to change it to min revenue. So now we're going to do another one, equals max. So this is going to be max. And then it's going to be revenue. And then we're going to call it max revenue. And we're going to format it. Okay, so I'm not going to do it in this video, but if you want to, you can do it for cost and profit as well. But another thing that I wanted to calculate is units sold. So we've got to do all of these formulas that we did for revenue. We also have to do them for units sold. So equals sum. And it's going to be orders so we're going to change this to total. We're going to have total units sold. And then we're going to format it. So it's going to be a number, and we want it to be a whole number, and we want to use the thousand separator. Now we're going to do average equals AV equals average. And it's going to be under orders. It's going to be units sold. So this is going to be average units sold. Average units sold. We're going to format it. It's going to be a number. It's going to be a whole number. And we're going to use a thousand separator. And we want to find out the minimum units sold. And then that's going to be under orders, units sold as well. And it's going to be min units sold. And then we're going to format it. So it's a number. It's a whole number. And we're going to use the thousand separator. And then the last one is going to be max. It's going to be under units sold, under orders, so it's going to be max units sold. We're going to format it. So it's going to be a whole number. And we're going to use the thousand separator. So now what we've done is we've got our measures. We've created our measures. We're going to go ahead and save this. Okay, so we've saved it. So now you've got your products, your orders, your customers, and your sales reps by region. So now what we want to do is we want to create a pivot table. So we're going to create a pivot table in a new worksheet. And you can see here that this sales rep demo, it says ref, and the reason why it says ref is it must be, I must have been playing around with it on my day job. I must have been doing that. I must have been playing around with it on my day job. And it messed up the files on my day job because my day job, they use Microsoft Office, and somehow or other, my personal email got mixed up with my work email. So I can, if I need to, I don't do it very often, but if I need to, I can call up one of my personal files. And so that must be what happened. So this is our dashboard 2, which I don't think we're going to need it, so I'm going to delete it. And then these are all the files that I previously had made. So these have all been gone too. So we'll just delete that. Hold on a second. So that says sheet 1. So this says sales measures, and that's one thing that I wanted to look at. So we've got sheet 1, so this is going to be sales Gonna delete that. Call this sales measures 1. And I'm gonna come over here to sales measures. Then delete that too. So we'll come over here, and basically what you do is whenever you want to make a pivot table, you come over here into the Power Pivot, and you can click over here where it says pivot table, and you click on the pivot table, and then you can use the pivot table just like you use a regular pivot table in Excel. But the difference between a pivot table in Power Pivot and a pivot table in Excel is the fact that with the pivot table in Excel, you only can use the one table or the one data set. But the pivot table that you use in Power Pivot, it enables you to use all of the files that you've imported. So you can see here we've got the only one we've got there is orders. So since all of these are, I'm just going to delete all of them. And I'm just going to start all over again. So we go back into Manage. We go back into Pivot Table. We click on Pivot Table. And then so we're going to say a new worksheet. And then so this is going to be measures. We're going to call this sales measures. So we're going to call this sales measures. So we're going to use our going to orders. And we're going to say total orders. So this is how you get your measures. So we've got our total orders. And so we've got total orders being 56. And then we're going to go into total revenue. But I don't want that in column. I want that in the row. So what we're going to do here, so we're going to make it total orders. Okay. And we're going to say total revenue. But I want the values to be in the rows. So there we go. We've got our values in our rows. We've got our average revenue. got our min revenue, got our max revenue, and now we've got units sold, total units sold, average units sold, min units sold, and max units sold. And so basically what you have to do is, in order to get the measures in your dashboard, you have to create a pivot table to actually get the measures in the dashboard. So we're going to go over here to this dashboard that I have already created. It's a software sales dashboard. So we're going to say equals 56 total orders. Total sales equals total revenue, because revenue and sales can be used interchangeably. Average sales min sales max sales and then now we're going to talk about the units sold. Average unit sales, min unit sales, and max unit sales. So now what we do is we've got our measures in our dashboard. So we're going to save our work. So we're going to save our work. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to create a pivot chart for sales by region. So we're going to create a pivot chart for sales by region. And so you can make your dashboard as elaborate as you want to make it, but you don't want to make it too big. You don't want to have too many bells and whistles because management might not understand it. And so this is just a training exercise. And so just for the purpose of this exercise, we're going to do sales and units. We're going to create a pivot table for sales by region and a pivot table for units by region. And then we're also going to create a pivot table for the 10 best salespeople. So we're going to come back over here and we're going to create another pivot table. And we want it in a new worksheet. And we're going to say sales by region. So we're going to come over here and then so we're going to say orders. So you're going to have orders. Or no, we're not going to do orders. We're going to do sales reps. We're going to look at sales reps. So we're going to have the region. And then we're going to go to orders. And we're going to say revenue, which can be used interchangeably with sales. And then so now we're going to come over here to insert tab and we're going to insert a pivot chart. So I'm just going to use this clustered column because that's what Excel thinks it should be. So we'll do that. And then on the pivot chart, you're going to go to field buttons and you're going to hide all of the field buttons. And then we're going to change it to sales by region. And in addition to making it sales by region, we're also going to input a slicer in there. So we're going to input a slicer, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put the slicer into the region. So we've got a slicer in there, which gives you the region. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy, and the thing about the slicer is the slicer enables you to either show all of the cells by region or just pick one region in particular. But we're just going to, that's your slicer. So you have the ability to show all of the regions or show only one region. So we're going to copy this, and then we're going to go to our dashboard, and then we're going to paste it onto the dashboard. And then we're going to copy our pivot chart onto the dashboard, and we're going to paste that onto the dashboard as well. And you notice that it's giving me a different color. And you notice it works. It works. You can copy and paste that slicer and that pivot chart onto the dashboard, and it's going to change it the same way. So I'm going to move this over a bit. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make another pivot chart. And we're going to make it units by region. So we want to make another pivot chart, pivot table really. We're going to put it in a new worksheet. We're going to call this units by region. So it's going to tell you how many units you're going to sell in each region. So we're going to go over here to sales reps region, and we're going to select the region, and then we're going to come over here to orders, and we're going to select the units sold. So that's telling you how many units you've sold in each region. So what we want to do is we're going to come over here to the Insert tab, and we're going to make a pivot chart of that. We're going to make that a cluster column as well. You're going to come over here. We're going to hide the field buttons. And then we're going to say, oh no, I made a mistake. So anyway, so I accidentally deleted it. So I've got to redo it since I've accidentally deleted it. So we're just going to make that a column chart. So it's not, it's disappeared really. Let's try it one more time. Insert pivot chart, and okay. So it looks like it doesn't want to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to start over again, because it looks like that pivot chart has disappeared. So we're going to do the pivot table again into a new worksheet, and we're going to say units by region. And then we're going to try it again. So we've clicked onto the field list. That's what I did. I had to go find the field list. So we're going to go sales rep region. And we're going to click onto the region. And then we're going to go to the orders. And then we're going to click onto units sold. So that's telling you how many units are sold per region. So we're going to insert a pivot chart. We're going to try this again. We're going to make it a clustered column. And there it is, a clustered column. So what we want to do is I want to delete the filled buttons. I'm going to hide all the filled buttons. I'm going to say units. Units sold by region. That's telling you how many units are sold by region. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to input a slicer. Go to the Insert tab and click on the slicer. Make sure that you clicked onto the chart. And then we're going to insert a slicer, and then we're going to go in the sales rep region. We're going to click the region. So this tells you the region. It works the same way that the other slicer worked. And so again, you can see, you can just either look at all of the values or just the one value. So now we're going to copy this over to our dashboard. So we're going to copy this over to our dashboard. So again, so we've got a different color. So now on our dashboard, we've got the measures. We've got like the sales and the units sold. And we've got sales by region and units sold by region. So we've got another chart that I made that we're going to do. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Power Pivot, Manage, and then we're going to create another pivot table. We're going to do it in another worksheet. We're going to say top 10 sales reps. We're going to say the top 10 sales reps. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to sales reps region, and we're going to say the name of the sales rep. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to orders. And then you're going to say revenue. So this tells you how much each sales rep has sold. But what we want is the top 10. So you click onto this arrow, which is a filter, and you click onto value filters, and then you click onto top 10. So we want the top 10 items by sum of revenue. So we're going to click onto that. And so now we've got the top 10 salespeople. And I'm going to tell you that, well, maybe what we can do, I tried to sort it, but it'll only sort it in alphabetical order. It won't sort it in numerical order. So I would have liked to have sorted it in numerical order to show the top salesperson, but it didn't sort it in numerical order. So I tried my best. That's what I was doing. I think that's probably what I was doing today when I was at my day job. And then, so what we're going to do is we're going to insert a pivot chart. And then, so on this pivot chart, we're going to have a cluster column. It's going to say total. We're going to come over here to field buttons. We're going to delete all the field buttons. And then we're going to say so we've got the top 10 sales reps. And unfortunately, I couldn't sort it. I could not sort it by number. I would have liked to have been able to do it, but I couldn't. So you do Control-C to copy it. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to paste it. So now you've got your top 10 sales reps. So we're going to save our work as well. We're going to save. So you've got your sales dashboard. You've got your total number of orders is 56 because this is a small company. You've got your total sales, average sales, min sales, max sales, total unit sales, average unit sales, min unit sales, max unit sales. And then so you've got a slicers and you've got charts. So you can, somebody wants to know how many units that you have sold in the South, you can show them that. They want to know how much you sold in the North, you can show them that as well. And then if you want to see the top 10 salespeople, you can show them the top 10 salespeople. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a slicer. I think that when you do the top 10 salespeople, it won't let you do a slicer, unfortunately. I would have liked to have done that. But if you want to, what we can do is we can do another pivot table. We're going to say new worksheet, and then you can say we're going to call it sales rep sales, and I'm just making this up completely. And then so you're going to come over here to sales rep region, and you're going to come over here to sales rep, and then we're going to come over here to orders, and then you're going to come over here to revenue, and then you've got your you've got all the sales reps here. And then so again, you can sort out the row labels. You're able to sort out the row labels, but you're not able to sort out the some of the revenue. But one thing that you could do is you could just take this pivot table and you can copy it, and you can say values. Just copy the values. Just copy the values from the pivot table. And then what you could do is you can insert recommended charts, and you can say all charts, say histogram, and you can say a Pareto chart. And the Pareto chart will tell you the highest to the lowest salary. And another thing that you can do on this one, we're going to say sales rep, and we're going to say sales. We're going to embolden that, and then we're going to say sort, and we're going to say we're going to sort it by sales, and we're going to say largest to smallest. So you can sort it that way. and that will tell you the sales reps from the largest to the smallest. But I personally couldn't get a slicer on the top 10 sales, and I personally couldn't sort the row labels on the pivot table. So the only way that I personally was able to sort the sales reps was to copy the pivot table contents and just paste the values only. And then when you paste the values only, you can see their top sale. So you can see that David Beckham was the top seller. And then you can say here as, right here, you can say, so we've got a sales rep Pareto chart. And what that Pareto chart does is it tells you who the top seller is and who the lowest seller is without having to actually look at the look at the figures. So, but unfortunately, I couldn't put that on. I could put it on the pivot table. I mean, you can copy it. And we can paste the Pareto chart onto the dashboard as well. And so there you go. There we have our dashboard that we have created. So this concludes lesson 4 of my advanced Excel course. So thank you so much for watching this video. And the next lesson is going to be lesson 5, where we're going to be actually talking about VBA. And I have actually written and pre-programs in VBA. So I'm going to write a few more programs in VBA for the lesson, and then I'll give you some programs that I personally have written for my day job. But obviously I have to anonymize all the information. I can't use you that information. So thank you so much for watching my video, and I look forward to completing the next lesson for you soon.